What if instead of always being the guy who has to chase the girl and hope that she responds to your text, or hope that she says yes to you asking her out, or you hope that she doesn't flake? What if instead of that, you were the kind of guy that women chased, that women pursued, that women wanted, that women said, hey, I want more of this man in my life. What can I do to not lose him? What does that reality sound like? For many of us, I know for a fact, for me, for a long time, that was completely out of my reality. For me, having a woman chase me was something that would only happen in my dreams. It was something that was not even, it wasn't even happening in my dreams. That's how far I was from this quite a long time ago now. What I'm going to do is break down for you 3 very, very simple ways that you can make women chase. Specifically, we're going to break these 3 ways into 2 different modalities, and it's going to be called value and scarcity. I'm going to explain these 2 things. We're going to look at 3 different concepts that will help you get there. I'm going to explain to you how you can have women chase you so that you're not the person who's always chasing. You're not the person who's always hoping she responds. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move away from breaking this down like it's a dating problem. And instead, we're going to look at this from a marketing perspective, because the truth is that you, as a man trying to attract women, you are in a marketplace. You are in a dating marketplace. And in this dating marketplace, you are the product. You are the product, and you are trying to acquire, as it were, attractive buyers. And these buyers are women. You're trying to have women buy from you, buy you as a product, and invest in you. And a lot of times, I think a lot of dating consultants, people on YouTube also make this mistake where they don't treat dating as if it is marketing, as if it is business or product development, and instead they treat it like this complicated bundle of techniques and systems. And I believe in technique, I believe in systems. In fact, everyone who works with me, all of my consulting clients, they're very logical men. I'm a very logical person. I was going to go to school to be a veterinarian. I love math. I love processes and systems. However, at the same time, ignoring the fundamental evolutionary psychology of how people make decisions to buy, or decisions to invest, or decisions to date, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So we don't want to ignore those things. And in this training, I'm going to explain to you the psychology of how to make women chase, the psychology of what guys who are successful with women, guys who learned how to do the way I learned how to do it, or who are just natural at it, how those guys have women chase them. And I want to explain to you 2 things. Here's what we're going to look at. A very important principle. People chase what is valuable and scarce. Think about this from a marketing perspective. Let's use an example of a good product, okay? A good product like a fucking MacBook, okay? Or the camera I'm shooting on. It's a Lumix S5, and it's a good camera. It's really solid. It's valuable, but it's not necessarily scarce. It's easily accessible. You make some money, you can afford it. Again, most of the world, let's respect poverty in much of the world. Not everyone can afford that, or people are not, at different levels. But, in Western countries, you making a decent salary, most people can afford, a MacBook, can afford an iPhone, things like that. So it's not necessarily a product that people chase. It's not something people go, oh my God, you have that. That's so crazy. No, oh my goodness. Again, depending on the ecosystem that you're in certain ecosystems, it would be a big deal to have a MacBook. But I'm talking about where I come from, which is New York City. So it's not that unique to have a MacBook. But let's say that you think of a product like a fucking Patek watch. Okay, a Patek or an AP, right? What happens then when you have an expensive watch? Why is it so desired? Why is it so unique? It's not just valuable, but it is scarce. It's hard to get one, whether that's because of price point or because they have a ridiculous waiting list. It's not easily accessible. This makes people chase it. This makes people overvalue or undervalue, whatever, depending on the brand, overvalue the product itself because it is valuable and it is also scarce. Now, if you want women to chase you, you need to have both of these things checked off. You need to be a valuable man, and you need to not be easily accessible. This means where women don't just get you. They don't just have you. You need to be valuable and not easily accessible. Now, here's what I'll say. Dating is very interesting because in dating, Scarcity, which means not being easily accessible, where not every girl can just have you. She's got to kind of meet you and do work to get you. She hopes that you pick her, right? That's an example of not easily accessible. Scarcity can be a byproduct of value. I shouldn't even use the word scarcity. I should say lack of ease of access, but scarcity is the easiest word I could think of. It can be a byproduct of value. There are two parts to making women chase you. This is going to be probably the simplest training you're ever going to watch on YouTube, but it could literally change your life if you use it. 1, have value, and number 2, be difficult to get. That's it. That is how you become the person women chase. Number 1, have value. Number 2, be difficult to get. Now, the first thing is, how do you actually become valuable? How do you demonstrate value? Because in order to be valuable, you can be valuable, but you have to show this. There's a lot of men that I work with. Most of my clients are 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs or very successful career guys who have had really successful careers in many different fields. And what happens is they have a lot of value in terms of finances and financially, but they're not demonstrating this in the world. Okay, so there's a difference between these two things. How do you demonstrate value? The old pickup community principle is called DHVing, demonstrating high value. How do you demonstrate high value? Here's what you do. High values, the definition of being high value is you share information, ideas, beliefs, and demonstrate behaviors, stick with me, that are generally representative of a man who ranks highly in the dating marketplace. Someone who has choices, someone who's generally desired, someone who provides a positive short-term dating experience and a secure long-term dating experience. That is a high-value man. So the high-value man, and you demonstrating being that high-value man, is a man who can share information, ideas, beliefs, and show behaviors that are representative of a man who would rank highly in the dating marketplace. So what are those things? Like, let's look at the people who rank the highest in the dating marketplace. Celebrities, athletes, they're in shape. They've got tons of money. They have lots of status. Women are looking at them and observing them, right? Maybe to some extent they're charismatic, or there's a lot of pressure on them and they perform well under pressure. You think of the classic narcissist sociopath executive in the movies, right? Someone like, in Suits, Harvey Specter, someone like that. Women like him. They're all over him because he demonstrates qualities that are high value. He handles pressure well. He's very physically fit and physically attractive, right? All these things contribute to you being a high value man. What you need to do, number 1, before we figure out demonstrating high value, is be valuable. That's the first thing. You can't demonstrate something you aren't. There's guys who can fake. You can lie and make up stories. You can learn all kinds of routines, and there is a place for that. But the first place to start is to be valuable. There is a place, by the way, to work on the psychology of this. There is a place to learn routines, to learn techniques. I believe in that for sure. But that's not the place you start from. The place you start from is become valuable. And you do these things together. So it's not like you have to be there and don't do anything until you are 100% valuable. But first you have to start with trying at least some way to boost your value. When guys come into our consulting program, the first thing that we do is say, here, we need to boost your value. Let's work on how and where we're going to do that. So how do you boost your value? How do you dress? That's an example of one. How do you dress? Do you fit a certain fashion archetype? How do you carry yourself? What is your physique like? Do you have money? I regularly have calls with guys who want to work in our program, and sometimes there's guys who want to join. They want to learn how to have success with women, but they're nowhere near financially capable to be in my program. Our program is a very premium program where you have to invest, in the 4 figures. And sometimes often when I have a guy who can't invest in the program, I say, yo, brother, I'm super happy you want to take action and grow, but right now you need to start off by just being more valuable so you can invest in yourself, because, hey, you're not going to actually create the kick-ass life you want if you don't have the resources to be that kind of man women want to invest in, women want to chase, right? How are you going to go on dates and shit and go to cool, fancy bars and meet very high-quality, beautiful women in different cities and have this life of abundance if you can't invest in a program that's in the mid 4 figures? If you can't do that, right, you're going to have to rethink some things. Okay, so cash is another thing. Make money. What is your communication style? How do you share information? That's a big one. Start with the baseline of value. What you need to do is there's something we call the rule of 1%. What this means is there are 1% changes you can add to your life over time that are going to make you better day by day. All right, little 1% changes. So like you getting an earring in the ear or getting some cool tattoos on your arms. You don't need to go neck tattoos like I did, but getting some cool tattoos or getting a chain or adding in, let's say, $10K per year to your income. That's not a lot, but adding in just a little bit, like $10K per year to your income. All those little things add up 1%, 1%, 1% till you become this high value guy. You become this guy who has options. You become this guy that women want to invest in. So that's number 2. You have to become valuable. Be the man who has value. Number 3, share stories that communicate value. Share stories that communicate value. What have you experienced in life that makes you high value? By the way, I'm telling you, it's easier to do this if you are already valuable. There's a couple of guys that I've worked with in the past, back when I was learning how to really get guys a lot of success a couple years ago. And I had some clients that were starting to do well. And one of the things that was interesting is there was always a separation between the guys who had experienced the most in their life versus the guys who hadn't. The guys who hadn't had to make shit up and had to try to like convince women that they had value or that they were a good option. Whereas the guys that were already experiencing things in life, had already had some, not even dating experiences, but some travel stuff, made a bit of money, had good experiences, gone to nice restaurants, started a few businesses. Those guys always had an advantage just in terms of how they could communicate value because they had more value. So part of this is be valuable, but then once you start working on the value, how do you communicate the value in the world? How do you share this value in the world? That's extremely important. Now, I want to give you a bonus point here. I want to give you something that's a little bit of a bonus, something that a lot of men just never do. It's something that I genuinely believe is going to change your life if you can do this the right way. So you need to learn how to not be easily available. Now, this doesn't mean you got to be so busy and you're ignoring girls and being a dick. I'm not saying that. But you can't just be easily available. Easily available means that you're always ready, always willing. If any girl gives you a bit of interest, you jump on that interest. That's one of the biggest turnoffs. And it's not even just a turnoff. What happens is, remember we talked about how you can have women chase you. Value is one, and then scarcity, which means you're not easily available, right? So you need to become not easily available. How do you do this? Number 1 is testing women. Stop putting so much value in getting laid. I made a Instagram reel about this recently. So many guys, so many of us as men, we value getting laid so much that the moment we have a little opportunity, we just jump on that shit. We sacrifice everything because we want sex, right? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't go out and meet women. This whole channel, everything I teach, most of what I teach is about becoming the kind of man women want, that women want to invest in. Trust me, I love getting laid. I'm a huge believer in getting laid. However, at the same time, instead of just chasing because you have a little opportunity, test her back. You know how they say women give shit tests to guys? Like women will test you, right? They'll kind of call you out on something, right? Women will do this, but you can do the same thing. So I regularly will test girls. I'll say, why are you standing like that? It's really cute. I'll say things like that. I'll give my little shit test. I'll say, you're so small. I love it. Right. And I say these things from a really genuine, funny place. I'm not insulting her, nothing negative at all, but I test girls. I throw shit at them too. Right. I say, oh, fuck your hair. I just want to pull it, but I can't do that. I'm not doing it. I'm holding myself back. Right. I say these kind of things and I test her. I throw curveballs at her because I don't want it just to be, oh, I ask how your night's going and I stand here and try to talk about what you want until I get laid. That's what a lot of guys do. You have to test her and devalue getting laid, mess some shit up. You have to challenge her. Number 2, respect and lack of objectification. Humanize her. Again, this goes back to my first point here. A lot of times as men, we objectify women. We're like, she's so hot. I'm going to act different than I normally would because I'm here with this woman. It's like, this happens a lot with guys who are starting to meet hot girls for the first time. It's like everything goes out the window when there's a hot woman in front of them. And I genuinely hate this. I've been around friends like this and I love these guys like my brothers, but we'll go and be at an event or do something or produce an event or do some kind of social circle thing. And there'll be beautiful like model type women there. And the guys that I'm with, they'll be around these girls and they'll be like, they'll act different, like they're not even aware of themselves anymore. And it's because there's this objectification. Like, she's just a fucking person. She's just a person. That's like, she's a human being. Just because she's beautiful and has a nice body and all this, like, she's a person, man. So if you can see her humanity and respect her as a human and remove the objectification, you're going to have so much more control over how you meet women and how you connect with them. It's really powerful. Number 3, challenge her on her actions, her beliefs, and communication. This again goes back to point 1, this idea of test women, devalue getting laid. Challenge her on her actions, her beliefs. I regularly ask women why they think the way they do, or I ask them how they're feeling. I ask, are they okay? And I ask why they're okay. I ask them what's going on internally. I ask what her fears are. I ask what her desires are. I challenge women, and you want to do this. And the last point, again, going back to point number 1, these all relate to point number one of test women and stop overvaluing getting laid. This is how women will chase you, is don't be easily impressed. Stop being so easily impressed. Only validate women when you really feel like it's worth it. Don't be so excited just to talk to a girl. Like, just because you're speaking to a woman doesn't mean you're winning anything. You're talking to a girl, okay, but learn how to challenge her. Only validate women when you really, really feel like it's worth it, when you feel like she's earned that from you. Now, again, how do you work on this? By being valuable, becoming the kind of man who's working on his value, becoming the kind of man that women want to invest in because of who he is. Then what you do is learn how to communicate that and challenge it or channel it, I should say, in a very effective way. And once you understand how to channel it, then the next thing is to pick and choose the kinds of women you want to spend time with. This is the path of dating, my friend. If you want me to work with you on this and you want us to build something together, instead of you doing this on your own and taking years to do this, check out my consulting program. We have a program called Lifestyle Mastery Consulting, which is a 1-year results-based and systems-based program so that you can go from being a guy who's chasing women or over pursuing, being a bit needy, not necessarily having exact control over how he meets women, to being the kind of man that women want to invest in, they want to chase. We have a 90-day results guarantee in this program, a 90-day results window, a guarantee and a window where we put together a system for you to get results within 90 days. If you want to join that program, book a call with me. We're going to talk, see if it's a good fit, see if you're someone I'd want to work with, see if I'm someone that you want to work with and have as your partner in this. Okay? Be blessed. Stay amazing today. And I'm going to see you on our next training.